Okay, we're up to Ches Amid Beis, and just a few, loose ends. We're in really in the middle of the sugya of Meitav and a stira between Meitav Sadeh and Meitav Karma Yishalem, and you go ahead and Yoshev l'Rabbi Shavakesav Afilu Subin. So it's Mashin and Zikin, you have to pay the best, and then the other end it says you could pay the worst. So we had conflicting. So we had Rav Huna's teretz. Rav Huna's teretz was that if you pay Karka, you pay Meitav. But Subin is really Subin is a metaltalin, and metaltalin, right, is always considered meitav. Why? Because if you can't go ahead and you can't go ahead and sell it over here, you'll find another place to sell it. So that was the teretz. We then digressed to give cases of different cases of Ruvain and Shimon and buying things, selling things, and we're on with the final case. We're at the bottom line on Ches Amid Beis. Rabbi, Reuven shemacha sad l'Shimon shleibach rayas. So Reuven sells a field to Shimon, and Shimon does not have any security that if anything happens to this field, he can get a refund. No, there's no security whatsoever. Shleibach rayas. So once the deal is done, the deal is done. Now the question is, at which point in time is the deal done that Shimon cannot come back to Ruvain? Good. When's the last point? So Amid Aleph, v'yatsa Aloha asikin, and now people begin saying that the field belongs to them. Asikin people begin saying the field belongs to them. Now, at which point in time he sold the field? Now, at which point in time is it finished? Achlei hichzik ba. Now I'll teach you literally until he makes a kinyan chazaka. Yachalaksabai. He's able to change his mind. Misha hichzik ba, when he makes a kinyan chazaka, en yachalaksabai. Now that would appear to be pretty straightforward, correct? In other words, if he's kaina with chazaka, then it would be okay. In other words, as long as the kinyan wasn't finalized, you can change your mind. Again, he sold it with shlebach rayas. So when the deal is done, the deal is done. It's mashroom here, just the lashon of the Gemara, until we know that we should know that karka is nikna bekesef shtar bechazaka, three different ways. Chazaka, so it's mashma. Now it did pick out chazaka, correct? It did pick out chazaka, so it's mashma until chazaka is done. Then you can't change your mind. Once chazaka is done, it's too late. The Amar late because Reuben can tell Shimon, Chaisi the Katri, a bag of nuts, so Varta v'Kabalta, a bag of nuts is hard to open up, right? You should have checked in to go ahead and open the bag and see what's in it. You bought this field, you did chazaka, you didn't check anything enough, and therefore you lose the field. Now, chazaka, at which point in time is considered chazaka? When he walks around the border, Rashi, different gears. Sunday picks up the fence and walks around the border. Okay, says the Gemara. Now let's stop over here because this case is really a huge machlokes Rashi and Taisus. Let's see Rashi first. Rashi says, what are we speaking about over here? We're speaking about l'chayra. You did a kinyan chazaka, doesn't say anything, and you bought a bigger win. Right? You should have gone ahead and checked into it. Good. Says Taisvis, Mishahichsik ba in Yolachsar, the Parakamid above Mitzia, Pirish Rashi. Now, Rashi is not here, it's in Bab Mitzia. Afagav Shanoy Nosen Mois, even if you didn't give money, the Karka Niktis Bechazaka. So it's mashma. In other words, Rashi is learning it straightforward like we did. It's a Kinyan Chazaka. So if you do a Kinyan Chazaka, you can't change your mind. The Kasha. In other words, if you're telling me the deal is done when a kinyan's done, why do you just pick one of the three kinyanim? You picked chazaka, and what happens if I would have given you kesef? And what happens if I would have written a star, and Reuven would have accepted the money, and Reuven would have accepted the star from Shimon, right? Also would be done. So why did the Gemara shtel sich on chazaka if it's speaking a classic kinyan the way we learned? Why did it shtel sich? Oh, if chazaka is done, then you can't change your mind. Mashma before then you could change your mind. If it's chazaka, if it's the kinyan chazaka that karka is nicked with, then the other two also you should have learned the same way. Continues Taisvis v'oid. Why is the Gemara asking when is chazaka? Masnisan it's mefurish mishnah in Chesed Sabatim. that says Noel, you close Paretz Vigodar. You close the gate, you open the gate, you make a hole in the gate. In other words, we don't need the Gemara to tell me what a Mishnah tells me what Chazaka is. Right? You dig a little bit, you do something. So it's very places two kashas that don't make sense. If you're telling me this is classic Kinyan and you can't change your mind once the Kinyan's done, why did you shtel on Chazaka rather than the Kesef and Shtar? And the second question is, what's the Gemara's kasha? When is Chazaka? We know when Chazaka, it's a Mishnah. Says the Gemara, why are you asking over here what Chazak is more than any other place in Shas? The Dasha Mitzri walking on the borders, mashma, Drisa Ba'alma, just walking there. He walks around the boundaries. In other words, why? That's not Chazaka. So in other words, you're asking me what's Chazaka, and you know what you tell me? You tell me something that's the opposite of the Mishnah. The Mishnah tells me you have to do something with the fence, open the fence, close the fence, dig something, do something in the land. So what's over here? You walk around. So Freg places a few bomb kashas on Pashut Pshat in the Gemara. So again, according to the Gemara, Ruvain sells the field, the case Shaloi Bach Rayas. So Shimon's gotta hope that everything is squeaky clean. Comes along Oirin, they're claiming the field is his. Shimon says, 1 second, I didn't do a title check. Something's going on over here, right? A title search, right? Something's going over there. The Oirim says, Ruvain, 1 second, you did Chazaka. Now, the way Rashi learned, you did Kinyan Chazaka. For places, why? If you're telling me it's because you made a Kinyan, what's wrong with Kesef and Shtar? In addition, why Dafka over here? In addition, we have a Gemara, a Mishnah telling us what Chazaka is. In addition, the Mishnah tells us what Chazaka is, and it's nothing like it says over here, walking around the boundary. So what exactly is going on over here? So Taisus says a pshat that fits in beautiful. Says Taisus, guys, listen pshat. Here's pshat over here. Says Taisus. V'nira lefarish. The Mairi shekona b'kinyan gomer. You made a kinyan. B'chalipin, or b'shtar, or b'chazaka, or money, or rafik b'purta, meaning you dug the ground, that's kinyan chazaka. Now, okay, so you made a kinyan. However, v'daitoi shel adam, afa pi shekona b'kinyan gomer, even though you made a full kinyan, im yotza oirin, if people come and complain, in other words, you're buying yourself a little time after the kinyan, as long as you don't run around the field. Behind the Dasha Mitzri. Says Taisus beautifully. Guys, I think I sold a house, right? You sell a house. You make a kinyan, you write a star and everything, and then there's a walkthrough. The person checks the house to make everything is not the way it's supposed to be, right? Guys who sold houses, right? Even though you made the kinyan already, there's still you look 1 second, make sure everything is squeaky clean. Says Taisus, that's the Gemara over here. When the Gemara said over here, my chazaka, it didn't mean the kinyan chazaka. It meant the final thing after the kinyan that it's the last thing you want to make sure that everything is okay. So, and what is that? It's not roughing baport, it's not digging, it's not noel geda, paritz geda, it's walking around. So says Taisus beautifully, guys. When a person goes ahead and sells the field back rayas, and they make a full-fledged kinyan, be it kesef shtar or real chazaka, right? Now Oirin come and claim that the field was not Ruvain's to sell, right? Comes along Shimon and says, I want my money back. Says Ruvain, 1 second, you walked around the field. Oh, you were Daisha Mitzvah, you walked around the field, it's too late. But if you didn't do that kinyan, that chazaka, not the kinyan chazaka, you didn't go ahead and check the field, then you could change your mind despite the fact that you made a kinyan. Despite the fact it was kesef shtar and chazaka, you can change your mind. Why? Because that final smichas das that a person has in buying the field is only after he's daisha mitzvah. Guys, geschmack? Guys, geschmack. It fits in with the words beautifully, right? It fits in the words beautifully. Any questions? You good? Okay, weiter. Says the Gemara now. That was shaloi b'achrayas. Says ve'ikad the amri afil b'achrayas nami. Even we sell the field with achrayas, meaning even though Shimon's got security that if the field is taken away from him, he's going to be chayzer on Ruvain, right? The Amalei, Ruvain could tell him the following: listen, you checked out everything. You're not getting the field back until achvei tircha v'shalim l'cha. Go get the star from Bezdin that says you're able to go be Torah for me, and I'll give it back to you. So in other words, if Reuven went ahead, did everything right, boy, right? If even though you're going to get it eventually, but if you walked around the field and check it out, at that point in time, Reuven can tell Shimon, you're not getting it back until you go to Bezdin, go through the legal system, and produce a star tirfa, a star that can take it away. Okay, now the Gemara now returns to the stira that we had 2 days ago. We get waylaid from the machlokes between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yishmael, whether b'd'shoylahem shamin, b'shehu shamin. We got waylaid by that. Meitav Sadeu. Okay, but we had a stira. What was the stira? Meitav Sadeu, Meitav Karma Yishalem. You got to pay Meitav. You got to pay the best. And the other hand, we said Yoshiv l'Rabbi Shavah Kesev Afilu Snubin. What did Rav Huna answer? As I said at the beginning of the share, if you pay karka, great, you got to pay meitav. If you pay metaltlin, whatever you pay, metaltlin is meitav because you could sell it anywhere. Okay, another teretz to that kasha. Says the Gemara. Rav Huna Amar oy kesef oy meitav, either kesef or meitav. In other words, you have no choice. You don't pay subin. You pay either meitav or kesef. Esadei Rav Nachman Rav Huna Yoshev Rabbi Shava Kesef Afilu Subin. Why do you tell me that you have to pay mamish cash or meitav sadehu? It says Yoshev is mashma, anything that you can get money for, any afilu subin. So how can you tell me kesef? And for Rav Huna to Rav Nachman Hachamayaskinon read the Leslie doesn't have kesef, doesn't have what meitav, so he pays what? He pays Shava Kesef. Says the either Leslie pshita. If he doesn't have anything pshita, what else is he going to pay? He has nothing to. If you can collect something that's worth something, you collect it. You know, right? Says the zil torach zavin v'aisle kesef. 1 second. You know, if you had money, you'd have to give it to me. Why do I have to go ahead, take the merchandise and go sell it? You sell it and bring me the cash. You might think you can do that. Says Yoshev, you can give it to him directly and let him deal with it. Okay, you can give it to the mazik and pay the nizik with subin, with beans. And the nizik can't tell the mazik, you go down to the Mexican place and sell some beans. I shouldn't say that. It's being recorded. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm in Inwood. What can you do? In Inwood, there's a place on Dowdy Boulevard that says coffee and tamales. What can you do? As I state, coffee and tamales. Anyway, it says okay, so what's his teretz? Rav Huna's teretz is oy kesef or meitav. And if neither one, then subin. Omer Rav Asi, kesafim hariyin ki karka. Kesef is like karka. L'may hilchasa. Regarding which halacha are you telling me that kesef is like karka? Ilema le'inyan meitav. If you're telling me that it's equal to meitav, just like that, you can pay meitav when you're going ahead and paying off nezikin. So kesef also haina de Rav Huna. So Rav Asi, who's a contemporary of Rav Huna, why is he repeating what Rav Huna said? Rav Huna said it, kesef oy meitav. So you're telling me ksafim is like karka? If it's linyan nezikin, you're telling me you're not telling me any chidushim. Says the Gemara, Ella, where is the kesef karka? The following case: the shnei achim shecholku, 2 brothers divide up the estate. V'natal echad karka, 1 person takes karka, the echad ksafim, and 1 person takes cash. So the estate's worth $500,000. He takes 200, and we have a $250,000, $250,000 in karka. There's $250,000 in cash. They divide it up. He takes that. Now, uba bal chayiv v'noitel karka. The bal chol comes now and takes the karka. So what happens? The azal hai, the brother who initially took the karka, who has nothing now, who had $250,000 in karka gone, the shakal palga b'ksafim, he now divides the 250, he gets 125. So kesef hariuki karka le'inyan chaluka, that if one of the brothers had cash and the other one took the land and the land was taken away, that the bal karka can come back and collect from the bal kesef. He says no pshita, hi bra v'hai lav bra. Of course, what do you tell me, Ravasi? It's pashit. This guy's a son and this guy's not a son. Says Gemara, guess what? Not so pashit. The other rabba, le'idach kisa. I go to the other side, that the guy who lost his karka, he's gone. He gets nothing. The Amalei, the Bal Ksafim, the guy who took the cash, can tell the guy karka, listen, I took a risk, you took a risk. Look, Lahachi Shakal Ksafim. You know why I took cash? The Meganve if it would be stolen from me, I wouldn't come to you in the karka and say divide the karka. I took the risk. I took the cash, right? And I took a risk. It might be stolen, and then I won't come back to you. Right? And therefore you took karka. Why? That if it's taken away from you, you can't come back to me. So the Ikki army says Yitaka loses it. So in the Havamim, again, so we want to know we're stuck. Ravasi said the following: karka. We want to say le'inyan Yerusha, where Yerusha is divided up. A guy takes land and a guy takes cash. That karka, if they take away the karka, you can divide the cash. Okay, that's what you would say. When it says pshita, it seems pashit. Good. So in other words, Ravasi, that's not pshat. That's not pshat. We just did away with Ravasi's pshat. The Gemara, however, stelzich, and even the pshat is not a good pshat, because it's a svara to say that if the guy took karka and it's taken away from him, tough. You know why? I took a risk. If they would have stole the cash from me, I would come back to you. So now that they took the karka away from you, don't come back to me. Bottom line is, Ravasi, we don't have pshat. Ravasi in Kesofim Havenke Karka. The Gemara continues in the quest to find that. It says Gemara Ella, where is Ravasi saying is din Kesofim Havenke Karka? L'shnei achim shechalku, two brothers that divided up. Ubo bal chayv v'not chelka shelechamehen. Comes along the bal chayv and he takes away the chelik of one of them. So in other words, they both divided up the state equally, and bal chayv came and took away from one brother. Right. So what happens now? That the other one goes there and divides with the other one. Right. He goes in and karka, and he's going to go ahead to this brother and take it back. Let's see Rashi for a second. The other brother can pay half of the worth. He can either give him karka or buy him off with cash. Karka, and that's what Ravasi is saying, that Kesef is like karka. The matzim is salikle bezuze kibe karka. He's able, the brother who is able to remove the other brother from him with cash. Okay, now that would be an easy pshat. Fred Gemara, but it's a problem. Ravasi already said this once. So if that's the pshat in Ksafim, it can't be that's the pshat in Ksafim Harenke Karka, because if it was, he'd be repeating himself. So obviously, if he said it in another venue, that must be not pshat in the vague term kesef aliyuke karka. Says the Gemara. Anyway, what's the idmar? Where did he say it? The idmar. Ha'achim shecholku. Brothers divide up the estate. Okay, guys, we can view the brothers one of two ways. We can view them as yarshim, or we can view them as lekuchim. We always have this in the sugya of breira, right? We can view them as lekuchim. Each one bought from the other, or we can view them as yarshim. So now, what's the longest? If you view them as yarshim and you took away the chelik of one, the other yarish is mechuyev to pay it up. But if you view them as buying, each one buying a piece of the estate, if this guy loses his, he's not mechuyev to make it up. He bought his part. If you view them as buyers, listen, you bought your part, I bought my part. Shalom aleichem, right? Says the Gemara. Rasi said it already. So brothers divided up. Balchov comes along, takes the chelik of one of them. Rav Ama, but l'machloikis. Rav says the machlokes is batal, and the other brother has to make up the loss because the yarshim. Ushmul amar vitar. Shmuel says, "See you later, Charlie. It's mavat. He's lost." Ravasi Amar. Ravasi said, and this is what we need. Ravasi's talking, guys, right? Ravasi says, "Noitel ravia bekarka ravia b'mois." He would get a quarter of the karka, quarter of the mois. You know, he's getting here. Says the Gemara, Rav Ama but l'machlokes ksava ach mishlochel chiyarshim have. So the two brothers are yarshim. This one that took away, he comes to the brother. Listen, we're equally yarshim. You have to pay up the part that daddy lost. Okay. Shmuel Amar Vita, you lost your chelik, and tough luck on you. Ksava achim shechalku lekuchais, and not only the lekuchais like purchases, but kilukayach shleibach rayas dummy. They're like they're buyers without achrayas. So you lost it. Ravasi Amar Noitel Ravia B'Kakam Yermayas Misafkale. He's Misupik. Iki Yarshim Dami. Iki Lekuchas Dami. Hilkach Noitel Ravia B'Kakam Yermayas. The bottom line is, guys, where did Rav Asi say Ksafa Marianke Karka? You've not been successful in finding any venue, either because why it's not true. If they divide it up, the guy says I took cash. In the case where one guy took total cash, he said I took total cash because I took a risk, right? Or in this case over here, where you're dividing it up and you're saying this, take it away, And Rav Asi said, I don't know what to believe. So if he didn't know if it's Kesav Karka, he's not agreeing that Kesav is like Karka, because you can't be Masalik and Mezuzah. You got to make up the difference. So where did Rav Asi say Kesav Marian Karka? So after all this interesting Gemara, the Gemara is very partial to Teretz. Ella, my Harian Karka, you know what it means? Linyan Meitav. Guess what? Linyan Meitav. If you pay Meitav a Karka, great. If you don't, you pay Kesef. Who said this? Rav Huna said that. This is how we began to end the shir, guys. Said Rav Huna, oi Kesef, oi Meitav, and without that, Yoshev, you pay Subin. So says Rav Ashi, Kesef is like Karka, meaning Meitav or what or Kesef. Read the Gemara, Hachi Haimad Rav Huna, and for the Gemara, Ema v'chein Rav Asi, just the above, v'chein Rav Asi shine. He said the same thing. Kesef Karka. Very famous Gemara. Next piece of Gemara, guys, very famous Gemara. Very short, but brought down a lot of times. Amrav Zeira, Amrav Huna, b'mitzvah at shlish b'mitzvah. Okay, in a mitzvah, you can pay up to a third of the mitzvah. Everybody wants to know what does that mean? My shlish b'mitzvah. What does that mean, shlish b'mitzvah? Amid base. Ilema shlish beisai. If you're going to say you have to give up a third of your earnings, of your income. In other words, I have $3,000, and I have a mitzvah. All I have is $3,000, and I have a mitzvah in front of me. I have to pay up to $1,000 for the mitzvah. That's quite a heavy sum. It says the Gemara. Elamiyat, 1 second. Yisramile tilsa mitzvasa liasve kule besa. So in other words, I had 3 mitzvahs, guys, and I have $3,000. So what do I end up with? Nada. Then you tell me nothing. That doesn't make any sense, right? That doesn't make any sense that a person for a mitzvah would have to go ahead and spend all this money on mitzvahs. Ella Amrav Zeira, behid mitzvah at shlish b'mitzvah. Says Rashi, Shemaitzi beisifrei Torahs, you find 2 Torahs liknois. Ve'echad hoder mechaveroi, Yosef shlish hadomim, ve'yikach es hiddur. Give up to a third more of the price to buy the hiddur. The Tanya, Zeh keli v'anvehu, his snoah b'lefonav, be beautified in front of a Kadosh Baruch Hu b'mitzvahs. Al aselecha sefer Torah noah, lulav noah, talis noah, esrig noah. I put the word esrig in to make you feel better. Tzitzis noah, right? You go ahead, right? You mamish, go ahead. So in other words, up to a third more for the mitzvah. Up to a third more for the mitzvah. You have a choice between 2 things. Pay up to a third more for what? Right? You have one that's $50, another one that is pay up to $150, right? Third more than what over the price. Says the Gemara. That's what it means, hid the mitzvah. Boy Rav Ashi, shlish milagav or shlish milabar. Okay, in other words, is this, you have a 6, right? So 6 means, does 6 mean you're going to go ahead, divide it up, you're going to divide it, half. Shlish mitzvah will be 2, a third of 6 is 2. Or you take what you have and put a third one there, right? You put a third one there. So it would be 3. It would be 3, right? It would be like you take that and you give us another. You take 6, divide it into 2, and you add a third one. Don't add it up to 9. Just that one digit, right? The digit is, so let's say it's 15. So if you divide it by 3, it will be right. It would be what, 5. A third would be right. It would be 5. But if you take it like 15, and you divide up 5, and 5, it still would be 5. 1 second, that wasn't good, right? You divide it by 2, I guess. Divided by 2 would be 7.5, right? If you go ahead the other way, it'd be 5. Okay, that's it's either 2 or 3. Okay, that's the difference. Says the Gemara. So shlish milagav, that means inner, or shlish milabar, outer, teku. The Rabbi Zeira at shlish mishaloi mikan ve'elch mishal kadosh baruch hu. Says Rashi. At shlish mishaloi, the hainu oisei shlish yosef behidden mitzvah. The third you spend more on the hidden mitzvah mishalohu. It comes. In other words, that's yichiev. You're not going to get paid back in this world for that, because schar mitzvah b'hayam oleka. So that third that we just said in this Gemara, that's what you're expected to do, and you're not going to reap the benefits in this world. You're going to pay back in this world. Tosfos says this one of the things that so the third is up to a third. There's Chanukah. There's a famous shtickle from the Brisker Rav on Chanukah on this piece, on this thing. I'm gonna have to look it up, but I know on this piece as Rosh Chodesh Kislev approaches, There's a famous Chanukah, there's a famous Brisker of Chanukah based on this Gemara. Okay, it says the Mishnah. Kol shechafti b'shmirasai, anything that I'm chayiv to watch, and I'm pesher in that, tichsharti is niskay. Rashi brings two pshatim. Either I prepare the damage or I got to make up the damage. Okay, tichsharti b'mixus niskay if I prepared part of the damage. In other words, not the whole thing. We're going to see what this means. Chayavti b'teshlume niskay. I'm chayiv to pay back kehech shekol niskay as if I did what the whole thing. If I was matched the whole thing. Now, where do the halachas of Nesikin apply? Nechasim shein b'mila. It has to be I damage the chasim that don't have a din of mila, which is what hegdish. So the Gemara is going to ask, why don't you say nechasim shel hegdish? Why do you say nechasim shein b'mila? Okay, we're going to see. It's speaking about kachik kalam. Nechasim shel b'nei bris. It's got to be a yid, not a guy. The whole parsha of Nesikin is by a yid. Nechasim yuchadim. It's got to have an owner. It can't be hefker. The Gemara is going to say pasha, but so who are you going to collect from? And it implies b'chol makom yichayv the mazik is chayv to pay on the niskei mamin chutz mishus and yichedes the mazik. In other words, if a shor comes into your rishus and your shor goes his shor, right? Your shor goes his shor. You're going to say shorcha b'shusi, my boy. What's your shor doing in my rishus? So it's the shus that's yichedes to the mazik when you're to the nizik, or rishus in Rishus that's miyuchet to the mazik, it's not. There's no din of nizikin. For Rishus hanisif or mazik, if they both have Rishus to be there, we're going to see there's no din of nizikin, right? But in that last part of the Mishnah, what it means Rishus hanisif mazik, the more will explain. And we said earlier, this repetition is to include Keren. Again, the first Mishnah in the Masechta, Arba of Nizikin Hashar Regel. Right, Habar, Vahamave, Shane, Karen, listening Karen Behedya, why do you learn Karen? The Mu'adim Mitchilasan, we're only speaking about Mu'adim Mitchilasan. We're only speaking about what? A Mishnah that thinks that a Mu'adim Mitchilasan. Masha'en Kain Karen, which is not a Mu'adim Mitchilasan, is included in this word's the repetition. That repetition comes to teach me what? The din of Karen. Okay, Tan Rabbanan. Kol shechati mishmi rasa yichshati es niskoy keitzad shoru bar shemasu lecheresh shaita v'katan. You gave a shoru or bar to a cheresh shaita v'katan. Now I'm kind of machshir the damage, right? Because again, they can't watch it. There's zikoy and it does damage. Chayiv, you chayiv l'shalem. You be chayiv to pay, right? Masha'en kain be'esh. Masha'en kain. If you give an esh to a cheresh shaita v'katan, you're going to be potter. The Gemara is going to ask right away. What exactly? What's the status that when you gave it over to the shor and the shor that you gave it over, and the bar that you gave it over, and the eish you gave it over? Now they must be paralleled. In other words, they must be equal levels of shmira. There must be equal levels of shmira, or else the halacha would be totally different, which I understand. There must be equal levels of shmira. So what are we speaking about? Ilema b'shor kosher. You gave over a shor that was tied up, ubar mechusa, and the bar was covered up. So now, what would the case be by Eish? It can't be that there's no Eish. It must be the Kavase, Gabe Eish, Gacheles. There must be a coal. In other words, there's no open flame. There's no open flame. So the shor is watched, it's tied up. The bar is watched, it's what? It's okay. And the Eish is, now, so what did you say? You said by shor and bar I'm chayiv, and by Eish I'm potter. For the Gemara, Maishna hacha. Pirish, you should be what? You should possibly be potter in both venues, right? I would think you should be what? Potter in both venues. This is short, this is covered up, the bar is covered up, the shor is tied up, and the eish is going out. So l'chayra, why in the world should you be what? Should be chayiv, right? Just like the eish you should be potter, l'chayra should be potter over there also. Ella must be speaking the following. The shor, my sir, the shor is untied, ubar megula, and the bar was open. The kavase gabe eish shall heves, an open flame. For the Gemara, mashen came eish the pata. How can eish be pata? V'amar Reish Lakish says, Reish Lakish is of the opinion that mishmei the Chizkiah, in the name of Chizkiah, lo shanu, that when you give it to cheresh shayt of a cotton, the eish pater elikashemasaloi gacheles v'liba. You gave him an ember, and he had to go ahead and fan it in order to create the mazik. Then I'm potter. because what I gave him itself is not capable of doing damage. He had to fan it. Aval shal heves, but if you gave him over an open flame, chayiv. So my timer, what's the reason? The baria zeka, because clear it's going to do damage. So I got a problem over here. Where do we make a distinction by shavra bar that yechayiv and eish pater? If it's speaking where the eish is an ember, it must be that the sharam bar are both watched correctly. If it's speaking that the eish, that the sharam bar are not watched correctly, and that we yechayiv, must be the eish also is not watched correctly. It must be a shal heves. So why are you pater? So La'olam Gemara answers b'shar kashu bar mechusa. They're watched, meaning one is tied up and one's covered. Uda kavasi gabe eish is gacheles. Now, what was the kasha with the karmid? Maishnahacha you should be pater. Says Gemara, shor darke elin tuke. A shor, it's there. You know, it's tied up now. Its derech is to go ahead and jerk around till it busts loose. And bar as well, even though it's covered correctly, over time, its derech is for some way, somehow, it's going to get opened up. And therefore, you would be chayiv. Masha'en kein eish, by the gacheles, kamo deshavikle, as long as you leave it, amya va'azla. What's the answer, guys? Beautiful teretz. Beautiful teretz. A shar, the mazik shar, despite the fact that it's being watched right now, eventually it's going to get free. There's no statute of limitations on the shar unless the shar is holding by dying, right? But a normal shar, you can't go ahead, leave a shar tied up, go away to Florida, come back and expect that the shar is going to be there. He's going to get loose. You cover a pit. The pit over time, right now it's watched, but over time, it doesn't make a difference. The mazik is there. Time is not going to go ahead and be a restraint as far as its capacity to do damage. Masha ein kain an eish, the ember, what happens? You make a charcoal grill. What happens? An hour later, less than an hour later, it's gone. The ember is gone. So therefore you pater, because when you left it, it wasn't an open flame. He can fan it, but the nature is it's going to go out down and down. So we have a beautiful chilik between shar and bar that you chayiv, meaning the mazik will always be there. The shmira won't always be there. Mashen came by the eish, the shmira may not be there, but the mazik also won't be there, right? Very good. That's the distinction. That's the first way to learn Pshat in the Gemara. Okay. That's Rabbi Reish Lakish. Ul Rabbi Yochanan, the Amar, who's of the opinion, Sha'afilu Masalai Shalheves. Nami Pata, he is of the opinion that what? Even if you give an open flame, who's also going to pater, Tikavase Hacha by Shar and Bar. Is Bar Musar, the bar is loose, the Shar is loose. Ubar Megula, Maishnahacha, Maishnahacha. If Rabbi Yochanan holds the Shalheves is pater, why does he hold the Shar and the bar is also pater? In other words, guys, look at Rabbi Yochanan. Is this Roy to do damage right now? The Eish? It's a Shalheves. It's a flame. Can it do damage now? Let's do the nod ahead. Yeah. So if it could do damage now and it's pater, what's the difference? Shar and bar, which also can do that damage now, and the chayev. Like Rabbi Yochanan, I got a beautiful chilik. There, the masik will always be there. Eish, the time is going to take it away. Mashenkein, you're telling Rabbi Yochanan that when the mazik is there, you pater. So also the shor and the bar, the mazik's there, you should be pater, not chayev. Hasam by eish, samsa the cheresh kagarim. It's the achizasai, the holding of the cheresh is causing the damage, right? The cheresh has to go and burn down the haystack. Therefore, the one who gave it to him is pater. Mashenkein by the shor and the bar, but samsa the cheresh kagarim. The nezek's not caused by the cheresh at all. Guys, we know the concept of kind of groma bin izakin, right? A causative. Let's look at the chilk. You leave a loose shar and a cheresh watching it. When the shar does damage, that's loose shar. When the shar does damage, could the cheresh have done anything about it? You leave an open pit. Could the cheresh have done anything about it? The cheresh has a shalheves. If he would stay in one place, right, nothing would happen. It's him, the one causing the damage. Thus says Rabbi Yochanan, the cheresh would by eish, a person's pater when he gives it out the cheresh at the kind. We'll see more of this Bezat Hashem. The main sugya is in Hakainis, in the 6th parak. But right now we have a chilik. We have machloikis between Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan. Reish Lakish says that a shalheves should be chayiv. You only potter on an ember. He makes the chilik by shor and bar that you chayiv because the mazik's always there even as time passes. By the ember, the mazik's not always there. Rabbi Yochanan makes the chilik between, even though a shor of a bar, you gave it the cheresh straight of a cotton, you're chayiv because you didn't give it over to someone who could watch it, and the shor is ready to do damage, and the bar is ready to do damage. Mashain came when you gave it up to the cheresh, it wasn't ready to do damage. You needed safsa the cheresh, the achiza of the cheresh, bringing it over to cause the damage, and therefore you potter by yesh. Have a great night. Be'ez Hashem tomorrow morning.